Hi everybody, I'd like to take a second to welcome you to this week's Paddle Monster newsletter. In this issue, we have an article for paddlers that are just getting onto the water or have only gotten onto the water in the last month or so. And it's about how to prepare for a high priority event or an important race without a lot of preparation time. So this might be pertinent to a lot of paddlers who have only just gotten on the water recently, like in the last month or so, and have a big race coming up in June or early July. There's definitely a few things that you can do with your training to sort of make up for lack of time on the water before you race. I also think this would be a great read for more experienced paddlers who have probably been on the water for a long time already this season, but in future years are likely to find themselves, like for example the Carolina Cup next season, are likely to find themselves getting on the water a little bit late and then racing a big early season race. It's tough to do. I know I used to struggle with that a little bit before I retired from teaching, when I wasn't able to paddle much in the winter at all, or if at all, or in the spring, and then I would find I had very little time to prepare for a big event. So there's some really useful tips on how to do that, how to manage your program, and how to approach your workouts to maximize your ability with less than an ideal amount of time on the water. For those that are training with us, it's week 7 of the summer training program, and this week we returned to a really high workload focused on the development of aerobic base, but we also are starting to introduce more high intensity work, and we'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks in preparation for the program intensifying 3 weeks from now. And then lastly, for those that are training with us, there's some recommended reading. It builds on last week where we looked at Connor Baxter's epic 200-meter race at the 2022 ICF World Championships, where we broke down his race, and then we looked at what you need to do to be able to sprint fast. What types of things do you do with your paddling and with your training to be able to be a fast sprinter on a supboard? Well, this week we're going to look at another element of that, and specifically it's paddling rhythm. So we'll talk a little bit about what paddling rhythm is, how a board accelerates, how you can work with your paddle against the water you have loaded on your blade, the tempo at which you work with that, work against that water through the stroke, and how that creates a paddling rhythm. So we'll talk about what paddling rhythm is, and then how to establish a really good paddling rhythm that's useful for any type of paddling, but is especially useful for sprinting. So that's this week's Paddle Monster newsletter. As always, we invite your comments or suggestions for things to include in the future. We're working really hard to bring you good content, and we hope you enjoy these newsletters. So happy paddling.